In this video I'm going to show you how to create this crocheted pumpkin fall decor. Now there are of course 3 sizes of pumpkins in this entire piece. I'm just going to show you how to do the smallest one, and there are instructions in the video description for the 2 larger pumpkins. So we're going to start out by chaining 12. I'm using super bulky yarn and a size I crochet hook. So we're chain 12, and then we're going to put half double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook, and then all stitches across the row, or half double crochet just all the way across this row. Of course, you're going to use all the same techniques on all 3 of the pumpkins. It'll just be a different number of stitches in rows for each one. So once we get to the end of the row, we are going to chain 2 and turn, and then we're going to half double crochet, but we're only going to work into the back loop of each of the stitches. So we see our stitch here. If you turn the work slightly and look at the top, you'll see the 2 loops, and you're going to go to just the back loop. And this is the row that you're going to repeat for the entire rest of the project. You'll just half double crochet into the back loop only of each stitch until you've worked the total number of rows that the instructions tell you. Once you've finished all your rows, you have a flat piece like this, and so I'll show you how to turn this into a pumpkin shape. We're going to start off, I'm just going to cut a long piece of scrap yarn here and use my tapestry needle. And we're going to do what's called a running stitch along the bottom of this piece to close up the bottom. So to start off, I just put my yarn through a couple of times, just loop it through to kind of secure it in place. And then I'm going to use these ridges of what looks like knit stitches down the piece as a guide. I'm going to go down on one side of the stitch and then back up on the other side, and just work my way all the way down, moving down through one side of the ridge and back up the other side. And when I get to the end, then you just simply pull on it to tighten it up, and it will gather and close up the bottom. And then I just take my needle back through the very first stitch that I had done to bring it all together and tighten it up. And then put a couple stitches in the bottom just to keep it closed, to keep it from coming back open. I just put 2 or 3 stitches across the bottom just to keep it in place. And then we're going to use what's called a mattress stitch to close up this side of the pumpkin. And if you're not familiar with how to do a mattress stitch, you can check out my video on a knitted hat. I demonstrate it more in depth in that video. So then once you have this shape, you fill it up with polyester fiber fill, or the filling of your choice, I guess. And then I use a running stitch again to close up the top of it. Once again, going down on one side of the ridge and up on the other side. Just moving all the way around the pumpkin. And then cinching it all closed. Putting a couple stitches in the top to keep it closed as well. Then to give it a more pumpkin shape, I'll show you how I do that here. I take my yarn once I've got the top stitched and wrap it around from the top to the bottom, then put my needle down straight through the middle and back up through the top again. and then tighten this up. Pull it tight and it will give a little indentation. And then I just keep doing that. I move around 4 or 5 times, however many times you'd want, around the pumpkin to give it some little indentations and kind of that bumpy pumpkin shape. Then to create the stem for the pumpkin, I chained 9 stitches and then put 3 single crochets into each stitch along the chain. What happens when you start putting multiple stitches into the same chain, it kind of starts to make the work turn a little bit and want to form a circle. So as you're putting 3 stitches into each of these, it twists the work around and makes it into kind of a spiral shape. So you end up with this nice little corkscrew shaped stem for your pumpkins. Like so. And to make some leaves for the pumpkins, I once again chained 9 stitches. And then I put one single crochet into each of the first 3 stitches. And then double crochets into the next 4 stitches. And then in the very last stitch of this row, I'm actually going to put 5 double crochets into this very last stitch, and it's going to, you know, we're putting multiple stitches in, so it's going to start forming a circle. And what this does is it brings us around, kind of forces us to come down around the side of the same the same chain of stitches. So then we're going to work into all of these stitches again. We've kind of turned the corner and we're going to work back up. So we're going to do 4 double crochets in the first 4 stitches, or a double crochet into each of the first 4 stitches. And then a single crochet into the last 3 stitches. And then when I get to the end, I kind of just do a slip stitch into the very end of the chain just to kind of close it up. And it gives this little leaf shape. And then all you have to do is just sew everything together. Now, of course, you don't have to sew these together. You can make individual pumpkins if you want and put stems and leaves on all of them. I wanted to have kind of a pumpkin tower, so I sewed them all together and then sewed my leaves and stem onto the top. And then it was ready to be displayed. So there you go. There's the final product.